breasts, 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 breasts.
No, Daddy, no.
Congratulations. 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 Congratulations.
Alrighty. Hey everybody. We are doing some stuff. Oh, hold on. Wait, let me just check. Make sure I have the right profile. Okay, yeah, we are. I'm just making sure. It's just the thing is not showing. I just wasn't totally sure just based on the spectrum pattern, but it seems like everything is working. I'm just going ahead and we're gonna fade out. All right, there we go. So yeah, short stream this afternoon or whatnot. Well, actually, no, not short stream because we're technically reacting to 2 videos. So the Panty stocking one, which is from Xavier Spark, it came out a few days ago, even though this morning it felt like 20 minutes ago for some reason. That's what we're watching today. But that's gonna be the main video we're watching. The first video we're gonna watch is the interview with the former employee from DK Oldies from Jacob Bar's channel. So I have watched a bit of Jacob Bar's content. I have not watched a lot. So it would be pretty interesting though. it's gonna be interesting. We could see more insight. This literally dropped yesterday. The full interview is out now. I'm not gonna sit through the whole one because we're gonna be watching the main stocking video after this. So yeah. Anyways, if you guys want to go check him out, I will put the link to his channel right here in the chat. I hope I got it right. I'm just gonna double check the link just to make sure I got the right URL. Okay, hold on. _R? No. Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure. Just wanted to make sure I was getting right URLs and shit. So yeah. Put a link here just in case if anyone wants to see it. It's gonna take a second for to pop up. There it goes. I was waiting for it to pop up on the OBS chat, but it was taking a bit to pop up. But yeah. So we are watching the DK Oldies video, like I mentioned. Yeah, let's just get right into it.
So in this video, I'll be showing you some highlights from an interview that I had with a former DK Oldies employee, and we'll talk about it. Now, like I said, these are just highlights, but the full interview will be live tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for that. Now, a few things before we get into it. So first of all, this is a former DK Oldies employee. He's no longer associated with them, so this interview should be taken as an experience from a former employee, not official word from DK Oldies. And second, I have verified that he did indeed work for DK Oldies. And third, this former employee wants to remain anonymous, so his face won't be shown, and I've used a voice filter.
Yeah, please, like, do not go after the current employees of DK Oldies. This is not what you should be doing at all. You should be critiquing DK Oldies for not living up to the whole refurbishment side, especially with how ridiculous they make the prices for the games. But do not go out and harass them. I explained this multiple times in past streams and whatnot, past reactions. Do not. All right. Anyways.
And last but not least, in order to help him remain anonymous, I won't be sharing his exact dates of employment, but just to give you a rough ballpark of when he worked there at some point in the last few years or so, and I'll just give that as a rough ballpark.
All right, so fairly recent. Usually when like I see some of these like former employees, it would like I'd say it like when I say usually recent, it would probably be like within the last 5 years. If it was like long term, at least like a good 7. If I'd say long term, but real long term would be like 16 or something. But yeah, that you be the judge of however long oh, play it for so long, right? You can judge however long of seniority a person has, whatnot. Anyway.
Now let's go ahead and get into the interview. And first, I want to show you a clip from the interview of him talking about DK Audis and their third-party cords and their third-party controllers.
So I remember what we would tell people, because especially like over the phone stuff, telling people that if they were a collector that was really concerned about that, and they called in and were like, hey, or even emailed and said, hey, I want to make sure this has original cords, or even in like a replacement, because that would happen. Somebody would get like those third-party cables, and then they would get upset because they're like, well, this isn't working with third-party cables. We'd say, hey, we'll replace you, free of charge, replace with the original cables. And that, I think that's another thing too, is it's all based on what we have.
I mean, that can definitely be fair enough. Like if it's like a bad day over at the warehouse and there's not a lot of like OEM controllers and whatnot, then I mean you have to make do with what you have to make do. But don't like wimp out, is what I'm saying. Don't wimp out. Like if you have them, like actually give the person they deserve, like the actual OEM controller. Don't wimp out and just give the third party old school shitty knockoff. It's terrible. Like, this even applies not just to the controllers, but just the power supplies themselves. Like the little power plugs you just put into the back of your system. Especially like when I watched Rich's NES review. Like no, like do not ever use an old school AC adapter, because like Rich said, they introduced a lot of noise, so steer clear from it.
Usually we try to make sure people would put in like the little notes section, which I know a lot of people now use for like the TikTok stuff. We would always be like, right in there, so that somebody knows, because it is all different departments. There isn't a lot of like communication on that.
And now that last word there is key, communication. I've seen tons of communication issues with DK Audis recently. But before we get more into that, if you guys are tired of dealing with all the overpriced retro games on the market today, why not give a free-to-play game a shot? With over 80 million downloads and the ability to download it on the phone that's in your hands right now, Raid Shadow Legends is the sponsor of today's video, and it's a free-to-play, tactical, turn-based MMO battle game where you'll assemble a team of champions to fight Raid challenges.
the number one sponsorship opportunity.
You'll be given the chance to choose from
skimped down on
Kale,
it, but
Galek, and Aethel, which are the 4 different starter champions.
If ever get
While
again,
you can't
maybe
go wrong with any of these champions, I personally go with Aethel because not only can she increase her own attack and defense, but she can gain an extra turn and then hit all of her enemies before they even have a chance to strike back.
It's definitely like the fact that they really lack any like sort of communication. Like the fact that I'm just seeing this happen, like, is just the abs world. Like, what it's now just gone to a new level of what the fuck is actually going on in there. Because I do not want to hear more horror stories after this. if it's not horror stories, but like I don't want to hear like much similar stories, because if it's gonna be really bad with this interview, if it's gonna be really that bad, then just it's not a red flag. Just don't buy them. I mean, already don't buy for them now, but definitely don't buy for them. Have that.
And personally, one of my favorite aspects of the game is summoning new champions from the portal. As you can see here, I grabbed a free Ancient Shard, then I went over to the portal and was able to use my Ancient Shard to summon Kale. And even though Valentine's Day has passed, love is still in the air in the world of Raid. New players can enjoy a special Valentine's Day themed adventure where you can win in-game and real-life prizes, and even if you're an old Raid player, you can use the promo code on the screen to get a free Valentine's gift. So what are you waiting for? If you haven't started playing Raid yet, use my link down below in the description, or use the QR code on the screen, and you'll get unique bonuses worth $30, including the free Epic Champion Shinoru and other useful stuff. Now back to the whole communication issue. I've talked about this in previous videos. with the warranty sticker, you know, one person will send an email that says the warranty is void from the sticker being removed. Somebody else will say it's not. And then just other comments on Twitter, you know, don't match up, or YouTube don't match up with each other. And it just seems like the communication is not there. Now,
Okay, so following a point that was made when Rich reacted to that video, in particular, the thing he brought up, and I will absolutely bring up here, is that you can't put warranty stickers on your consoles anymore in the States. You can't, like, it is at like complete gray area. Some countries do still allow the warranty sticker, but these days you can't. You just, I have to imagine you get into a lot of legal trouble by doing that. And DKLDs knows what they're trying to do to steer out of, like, halfway, half me says they know what they're trying to do with the sticker to, you know, to say, oh, well, people are not going to open the systems, but they don't know what the consequences are going to be at that if a thorough investigation of the company happens. Again, it's a toss up in the air, but it's definitely like the whole thing with the warranty sticker is a big red flag, especially if you want to try to figure out why the hell your console's not even working properly. So yeah, fuck off with the warranty stickers, DKLDs.
now let's hear a little bit more from him about communication, third-party cords, and third-party controllers.
Unless I walk up to a person and say, hey, this order needs to have original cables, you know, that might not happen. So usually using that notes filter would help, because there is a supervisor in that shipping department that has to kind of look at the order to make sure everything was done correctly before it even gets shipped out. I think that's a big thing. I know the controller thing is kind of, again, based on if we have it available, but I think the genuine idea of that is that they want you to pay more for that original controller because they know that you want an original controller. Whereas the cables, I don't want to say the cables are cheap, but I think that like the AV cables and stuff, AC cables are pretty common enough that they're kind of a cheap item, so it's not the end of the world. Controllers, they do understand that there is kind of like a commodity to that.
Now, talking about third-party cords, personally, I don't care too much about third-party cords unless it's a bad power supply. Like a 360 third-party power supply is not good. Honestly, I don't think they should be selling those if they don't have to. Now, third-party controllers,
I mean, they shouldn't be selling them, period. They should just be straight up offering the OEM cables. Like, come on. I know you're trying to run a business, but like, come on. You can still keep a decent price for them.
is where I have the biggest issue. I've talked about it before, but like on the 360 and PSP listings I've purchased from, they don't give you the option to upgrade it to an OEM controller, and they don't make it clear in the listing if you're getting an OEM controller or not, so it's kind of left up to chance. Like the listing will show an OEM controller, but the description will say compatible controller, so they kind of leave it up in the air as to if you're getting a third-party controller or an OEM controller. And in my experience, most of the time you get a third-party controller, so just a little bit suspect there.
Yeah, it's a very much a big suspect. I actually, so a fact I haven't even brought up, on the stream before. 5 years ago, when I was trying to collect almost 5 years ago actually, when I was trying to build my collection up of games I wanted to run or whatnot, I know Mario Party 4 was one of them. I almost fell into the bait of DK Oldies. I almost did. I remember seeing, like he was talking about, like when you go to the console and you try to go to like a console page, or you try to order a system, the substitute controller option right there. And ironically, the site that you see like right now for DK Oldies was the same site that was there 5 years ago. Like, I'm not kidding. Not much has been updated. I mean, like I don't want to like go straight into the Wayback Machine and improve my point, because I want to try to finish this because I want to get through the video and do the next video, but I'm just trying to go like all off my like base instinct from back then to make my point here. So yeah, the site, like in my opinion, the site has not changed all that much the whole substitute controller option has been there ever since I stumbled across the site 5 years ago. So I was glad I kept my hands off because fucking hell, this company is really bad.
Now let's hear a little bit more about third-party controllers.
That is touching back on what I said about the just kind of replacing the stuff. I will tell you 100%. I hate the 360 and like PS2 or PS3 third-party controllers.
Oh, good. Thank goodness it's for employees on my good side. I do not want to. I mean, like, I'd say the exception of the Guitar Hero controllers for Xbox and PlayStation. I'd say that would be the only things I can be an exception. But otherwise, fuck all the third-party ones.
I know that they're just not good controllers, so I
Yeah.
would go out of my way to go through. You may have seen in like their videos, they have those like walls of just like boxes full of the controllers and stuff.
Yeah.
I would go out of my way to grab like replace, try to put that third party thing back and grab an original because I just knew that it's not, because I don't think they had an option for like 360 for a while, but I don't know
Yeah.
if they've changed that in recent time. So
Yeah.
I think that was where I would replace the controller.
So yeah, third-party controller situation is just a little bit weird. Now let's go ahead and get into the whole refurbishing situation, which is that's what we're all here for. That's the biggest issue we've seen. They're claiming consoles are clean and refurbished.
Oh,
but
yeah.
We're clearly opening them up and seeing that most of them are not clean and refurbished. So let's see what he has to say about refurbishing. And this first part is more along the lines of repairing and refurbishing, and then we'll get even deeper into the cleaning and refurbishing.
Yeah. I I have no confidence of what people do what the DKLX people do behind the scenes in the clean department. I'm not confident. Not that like I'm expecting like they haven't like properly done all like the dust cleaning, and even if they were cleaning it, it's probably going to be with the fucking magic eraser that they had the balls to show off in their cleaning video on their main channel. It's like, no, we're not buying into your bullshit. You like that is not how you properly clean Wii. It's like Rich said, like it's like you're cleaning a Wii with like wet sandpaper or something. No.
This is an interesting one, I will say, because I know where people would have contacted and been like, "Hey, this is something that I got. It's not working." I think the biggest example that I can remember is like the 72-pin connectors for the NES. I know that they replaced them at DK Oldies, and I know that's a thing that you got to communicate. So I think that it's very much something where nobody's communicating to a certain department, maybe, or just, I don't want to say that they don't care, because I know that there are people there that do care about this stuff and care about what's going out, because they know stuff like this where people are making videos on it. It's not like, I don't think it's a thing where they're like, well, if this is getting press is press. I don't think that's the situation. I think the refurbishment process, as much as I don't want to say I've seen like anything of it, but I don't want to say I've seen everything. I know that the cleaning process is a big thing, but I know that when we would do this, it would always be kind of trying to get it to the repairs department, but it would have to be when somebody that was able to repair said system was there, and not all the time is somebody there to repair it. So then you're waiting for that person, you're waiting for this, you're waiting for communication back. So I think, again, coming back to it, it's just communication issues.
Holy shit. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking that like halfway through, like it's like at this point they pretty much confirmed what we were thinking the entire time. It's literally miscommunication in the like, it's literally them like not like clear miscommunication like within each departments, like not doing their damn job. Like hey, like we need it's like, hey, this console needs to be clean. We like I need to be able to like send it over, and if there's nobody to work on that, then how the fuck we're gonna be able to get this out in a good condition? Like the whole basis of DK Oldies, like according to them, is like oh, we can refurbish all consoles available. Like they've like doubled down so much on this whole like refurbishing of consoles. Like, we refurbish every single one. We refurbish your NES. We refurbish your Game Boy, your Genesis, your Mega Drive, your Jaguar CD32. Not 32, but Jaguar CD. Hell, we'll refurbish your ass. Like, it's so, like, they're so bad when it comes to doing any of that. They are such big fat liars.
So I think if they can figure out a way to like get those communication issues fixed, I think probably a lot more refurbishing stuff will get done better maybe. But again, that's all just kind of where it comes back to is communication.
So we're hearing that word a whole lot today. Communication. That just seems to be the biggest issue. There's so many departments, and the communication between the departments is not there. People are not communicating if consoles have been refurbished. People are not communicating if they need to refurbish consoles or clean them. And it just seems like the communication, there's just a big barrier there that prevents the communication from happening. I don't know what the issue is, but we're seeing that it is an issue. And now this next question is when we really get into it. I ask if consoles are only opened when they need to be repaired, because as we've seen in my videos and other people's videos, it seems that consoles are only open to be cleaned out if they have a problem. Like if a Wii has a broken disk drive, then they'll open it up, fix it, and then while they're in there, they'll blow it out. But otherwise, they don't open the consoles up, even though they say they do.
No.
So let's hear what he has to say.
I would say yes, because this is another thing too where it comes back to that, like the cleaning department, is if they don't really see that dust kind of like caked inside of like the vents or anything, they're not going to look at it. When I was there, I always would, like, if you heard a rattle or anything, you were supposed to obviously open it up and get that out of there. So you should see any like dust or anything that's just wrong there. I don't know if that's changed, if it's just kind of like to keep processes going because of how many orders or they're getting or stuff like that. But it seems like it's one of those things where I'm like, I remember personally just being like, okay, this seems like it needs blown out, and they don't in that cleaning department have like a dust gun or anything like that, so they can't just dust gun it. But the repairs department would have the tools to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like exactly what he was trying to say. Like you can't just just blow a giant dust gun like all over the disk drive. It needs to be like thoroughly cleaned out. Like there needs like it needs like you need like have like Q-tips, whatnot, or like a microfiber cleaning cloth, so you can be able to go in and just I'm not, well, I mean, something better than a microfiber cleaning cloth. No, that's ideal for cleaning up PCBs. So that way you can pick up all the dust. So, that way you're actually fulfilling the rest of what makes it refurbished. It's not just because, it's not just, reapplying, thermal paste to the CPU, make sure the disk drive is okay. You need to do like the rest of that to, give that like quality assurance that people are looking for refurbished consoles in general. And the fact that they're not doing that it leads me to believe that they don't care. They just will not give single fuck about the customer's order and whatnot, and just leave in terrible condition like this. Horrible news.
So I do think that's another thing of just, when I remember being there, if people didn't notice it was an issue, they just kind of went on as long as the outside looked clean. So I will say, I guess, as long as there wasn't an issue, or as long as there isn't anything that looks noticeable, it's going out the door.
So there we have it. From his experience there, consoles don't get opened up and cleaned and refurbished unless they have something that needs to be repaired. And that's what we've kind of figured out ourselves from opening them up.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, the fact they're not even doing, they're just doing the bare minimum. They're not even going out and doing the rest of the cleaning. That's how you know they're really that bad of a company.
And doing reviews and unboxings, and it seems to be his experience as well. And it seems as if the cleaning team is just they don't have the equipment they need. They're not equipped with what they need to actually open up these consoles and clean them out. I mean, he said the cleaning team doesn't even have compressed air or blow gun or whatever he called it. I use compressed air. Sometimes I use an electric one on mine, but it sounds like the repair team only has those tools. So
Yeah, like exactly what Jacob was saying. Like, you just make sure, like, have an air compressor or something. Like, I have compressed air can like around my desk so I can be able to clean my PC internals. You know, you gotta have something.
they're essentially, if the outside looks okay, they just ship it out. That's the biggest issue. They're calling everything clean and refurbished, but how can you do that if consoles are never opened up and cleaned or refurbished? Like, you're commanding these prices that are 2 to 3 times market value. You're saying everything is clean and refurbished, and that's why people are paying these values for it. But you're not actually cleaning and refurbishing, which would extend the life on these consoles. So big issue there. And now the real question is, where is this communication breakdown coming from? Like, why are consoles not being cleaned and refurbished? Why are people not equipped with the tools they need to clean and refurbish? And so in this next question, I kind of asked him where these decisions come from, related to social media. And we see Joey all the time. We know he's a social media manager. For everybody out there, this company is not owned by Joey. He's just the social media manager. So you would think he runs everything with social media, but from talking to the former employee, it seems that
Trying to get Milo in my bed first. All right. Anyway,
Joey is not really in control of what you think he is. Let's hear about it.
yeah, I like when I saw Joey in those TikToks and those YouTube shorts and whatnot, and some of the videos on the main channel, I obviously thought that he wasn't going to be, the face, like he's the face of TK Oldies, like on the social media side of things, yeah. But I wasn't expecting him to be the owner of the company at all. That wasn't anywhere what I was thinking. So yeah.
I would say that the owner is kind of more in control of it, even though Joey is a social media like manager. Any ideas kind of have to go through the owner first before it can even be kind of done, which I understand to an extent. But I think when you are a social media manager, you are supposed to make the call of what's going to be said or done.
Yeah.
I don't think I think the owner should kind of pull back on that kind of part and kind of let the social media team do what they need to do. I don't think that any ideas or kind of agenda should be pushed through the owner because, oh, this is happening. Now make this video.
Yeah, don't force, your managers. Don't force your social media managers to just make these absolutely blatantly idiotic videos and whatnot that are deflecting the truth. But in this case, you guys got you guys have to own up to it. You need to figure out how you're gonna own up to it. You shouldn't the fact that they have doubled down this bad just proves the point that leadership is absolutely asinine.
Because I can definitely see that's why the refurbishing video that came out a while back happened, because it's just kind of like, oh, well, this person on YouTube's talking about this. Make a video, quick, make a video to kind of save face. And that's I don't think that's fair, because it could easily have just been, and I do understand that it should be addressed, but it could easily have been ignored, or it could have easily been hey, mistakes happen. Let's start further improving, and then make the video saying we're going to start, instead of saying we've been doing this the whole time.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just straight up lying to the customer's face. The fact that this has just been happening so often, go back to Rich for a second. Rich, when he did his reviews, 3 of them, actually no, 2 of them he actually bought himself. The 3rd one was the only time that he had to send it to another address because DK blocked them on Twitter at that point. So with the Xbox, that was sent to another address. So once he got that, it just went to prove the point that even like what even if you're not on YouTube, even if you're not a YouTuber or a streamer or whatnot, like you're still gonna get crap. You're still gonna get crap for your console, like in terms of like non-refurbished parts. Like you're still getting crap in like with your console. Like that that shouldn't be happening. Not delivering on the refurbishing side of things is only going to alienate more customers. I don't think I'm using the proper word here, but it's only going to make people more angry.
Okay, mistakes happen. Let's start further improving and then make the video saying we're going to start instead of saying we've been doing this the whole time.
So we touched on a lot right there. The main takeaway is the fact that you guys out there that think Joey's making these decisions, it appears that it's the owner making these decisions, which makes sense if you've ever worked for a big or small company. Usually the owner is running the show, sometimes more so than others, but that's what appears to be happening. Is that Joey is the social media manager, but he's kind of just one of the cogs in the wheel where he has to do what the owner says. And it appears that refurbishing video probably came out because the owner said, yeah, we need to make a video combating this. And like, to me, it all adds up. A lot of times owners are kind of out of touch with what's actually going boots on the ground with the boots on the ground people.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I know I can't go into detail, but with my old job, soon to be old job, because by the time I get the schedule for my new job, like proper, that will mean I could put my termination papers in. So that way, I could just make my new job the permanent. The owner of the store, it's actually manager, but like we'll say the owner of the store. He's loved how much I work and whatnot. But he doesn't like really see that I'm like the hardest working son of a bitch here it's in the store or whatnot. So the fact that I've been working my ass off with trying to do as much as I can to organize whatnot while things are being trashed around, it's not fun, and that's basically been the reason why I would eventually be leaving my old job, is because of the treatment. The place is just like such a mess all the time. Like from vendors, from just the over amount of garbage that's thrown in the back room half the time. Yeah, it's just that's just one I wanted to bring up on that side. Notes. I'm gonna go let Mel what. Okay. I'm gonna try to finish the rest of this video, and then I think we're gonna take another walk for Milo. And then we'll do the pain stocking video.
So when you look at social media, and social media people are, I don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but I would imagine they're saying, hey, we don't need to put this video out. Like, this is going to look weird. But he's like, no, we need to put it out. Now, that's just me assuming things, but that's from the outside looking in, and what I'm hearing from the former employee and what I've seen on YouTube and TikTok. That just seems how it is. The owner's kind of out of touch, and he's making these videos trying to cover up, but it's just making things worse. And he's been doing this with the reviews they post on their channel now, the whole refurbishing video, the weird comments, and I don't know if I get back into it in the highlights video, but at one point we talk about the fact that comment from a few weeks ago where somebody commented and said, from DK Woodies, and said, others are jealous of our success. Now that after talking to him and kind of thinking about it, that comment is almost 100% from the owner, I would guess. Again, I don't know for sure, but
Oh, I believe 100% from the owner. Yeah, like it's literally the owner is just retaliating, which like against like everyone that is like doing that, because everyone that is calling out the company. I have to imagine that like Joey really hates putting up with the owner's bullshit. Like the fact that this has gone on for so long is just ridiculous. It's like, yeah, cool. You got 1 million followers on TikTok and almost 1 million on YouTube and whatnot. Cool. But you got to remember what made you guys so unique. If you don't do that, then you're just going to start making absolutely horrendous decisions. Like, of course, not fulfilling the promise of refurbished consoles, which we have seen all too much. Like, I'm sorry, that it just cannot be the reality, but it is.
Just the fact that it's been up for this long and hasn't gone. Actually, I haven't looked at it in about a week, but it was up for like a full week, never deleted. And from talking to the former employee, it seems that like if a comment like that came from an employee, it would have been reviewed and deleted, and they would have gotten in trouble. So I'm pretty sure that comment came from the owner. So just weird stuff going on, and it seems like the owner is just taking control. Now let's hear a little bit more about what this former employee has to say about the owner.
I think at this point it's kind of like, okay, I can just come in whenever because I'm the owner, which,
Yeah.
again, understood. But I do know that like it was kind of watching over what everybody did in social media to make sure everything was done the way it needed to be done and things like that. I think that was a big component, making sure what people were doing, what people were saying there, and that can be a big problem, especially when you're just you're doing what you're told, but then you're told do more of this instead. Flip-flopping on ideas, and I think from when I was
Does not
there,
work.
I remember just kind of being lost in some of that because it was always like, well, this idea doesn't make sense, but then it would become something that was a trend, or it was something that was really like popular, and then we're like, oh, he wants us to do this, but I said this, last week, let's do that. It's
It's like
so
it
it
doesn't
was
make it
always kind
makes
of
no
one of those
sense.
things where it is definitely somebody out of touch with what's going on, and that
Yeah.
causes problems. And then it would always be just make this, make that, do this instead. And I'm like, okay. But I do think that is a component to the comments and stuff too. Is I know recently there was one about somebody being jealous of our success kind of thing, and I was
Yeah.
like, that doesn't sound like anybody in social media, because they would easily get in trouble for doing something like that.
Oh, 100%. I agree. Yeah. I mean, even Jacob brought this up like earlier in the video. If an employee read that comment or whatnot, then it would most likely been deleted by now. But I don't think that is the case, and I do believe it's probably the owner. And yeah, if like it doesn't matter what company, like if somehow like it kind of reminds me of like the whole Norm of the North Twitter account situation where the person that used to be the social media manager just they just kept like tweeting a whole lot before eventually Lionsgate forced their hands onto the account, and the guy was essentially out of a job he no longer had, just being this like Twitter account lord. But it was a fun ride for that account, but damn, man, shit can hurt.
Yeah, so we heard it right there. That was what I was talking about. So we talked about that whole jealous comment and how if somebody in the social media team said that, they'd probably get in trouble immediately. And so it makes sense to me that the owner probably made that comment, and that would it makes sense to me why he would say something like that, because to me personally, like if you're an employee, like you care about the company's success somewhat, but like it's the company doing well for the most part is not lining your pocket. It's lining the owner's pocket. So he's the one that cares most about the success. So he's the only one that would want to comment something like that. And it just seems like from talking to him and what you just heard, seems like he's a bit out of touch with what's going on in the actual social media team. And they're working in social media every day. They know what the trends are. They know what's has a good chance of going viral and stuff like that. But it seems like from the top down, the higher powers are coming down and giving orders on what they think is viral, and maybe that works sometimes, but like he's saying here, it seems like you would want to give Joey and whoever else more control over what the social media team does, and maybe they'd be a little bit more in touch with what's going on with social media right now, because it just seems like they're out of touch with how people actually feel right now.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they like I mentioned, like, yes, the owner is absolutely out of touch. There is no denying that, and more control needs to be put on the social media team. You know, instead of just like a half-assed apology, like non-apology, like, oh, we always like refurbish our consoles. Just say, like, we make like real mistakes. I mean, there were already some comments that they say, well, we make mistakes, but they contradicted themselves. Like just like it's all a matter of like rebuilding the company and whatnot, getting a much better team that actually can give a shit at what they're actually supposed to be doing instead of what their owner is making them do. You know, for like extra work. Like, oh, you need to work on this more than you need to be doing this. Like, no. What they were already doing before was fine enough. Leave them be. If that's what they want, if that's what those employees want, let them have it.
Now let's hear a little bit more from the former employee about, the social media team and leaving comments.
I do remember that being a thing. So if a comment didn't meet a standard, it was talked about. It was kind of like, well, why did we make this comment, or who made this comment, and then eventually deleted because it was something that didn't meet the views or standards.
Yeah.
So if that comment hasn't gotten deleted yet, then definitely that makes a lot more sense now.
So in that brief segment, again, we're talking about how the fact that if a social media person was to make a comment like that, it probably would have been deleted pretty quickly and they would have been talked to. But considering the fact that it's still up, it was probably the owner or one of the higher ups in the company. So in this next part, we talk about Joey and how, me personally, I think he holds all the cards in the company right now. Like, he's the face of the company.
Yep.
He from the outside in, looks like he's running the show. I mean, that's why so many people think that he actually owns the company, because he's the face. He's the one you see in all the videos. He's the one you've seen for years. He's the one that says everything on social media. So from the outside looking in, it looks to me like Joey holds all the cards. So if if he's tired of getting people all the comments on the videos, you would think he could go and ask for a raise and pretty easily get it, or he could want to go to a different company and he'd get a pretty big pay bump to stay, because I feel like if Joey's gone, they lose a huge chunk of their audience.
Yes, 100%. If Joe, like I was mentioning earlier, if Joey absolutely hates working for DK Oldies, he has every right to move to another store. Like, I don't care if he has to move to Lukey Games, as long as they give him the proper compensation. That's what matters, And if the compensation is, fair, like fair compensation for providing good services, that is. So, and from what I've seen, when I watched Rec Wizard's video on on Lukey's, not DK Oldies, on Lukey Games, it was very comparative to DK Oldies, but for the most part, it definitely seemed like a much better place to just shop around than DK Oldies. And yeah, if Joey moved to Lukey Games, then please, give him fair compensation. He worked his ass off for the DK Oldies side of things. Like, why not? But yeah.
So let's hear some more about what the former employee has to say about that. And kind of this started out with me saying, what if Joey leaves?
I wouldn't blame him, honestly, at this point, just because of how many people are just kind of, I will say, just kind of ignore that the owner is a big part of the problems that people are addressing.
Yeah.
I think it's always unfair when I see comments that are just like, well, Joey's packing my order, Joey's doing this to my order, and it's like, 100% Joey isn't packing every order.
No, I 100% agree. I don't think that's the case. Like I know there is shots where it looks like he's putting putting it in, but he's not like doing like all of it. Like I see some shots of the TikTok clips where they're grabbing the box. I think it's literally someone else just grabbing games when it's not Joey in the frame. Like, just grabbing the game, putting it in the box, putting in the like loosely wrapping plastic wrap around the game and consoles and whatnot. I put the paper wrap in. Like I think half of that, like half of that, the time, like most of the time when it's like not Joey on camera, it's just gonna be like the crew. That is like that was my base assumption looking into those videos, and the fact that the former employee brought this up is like, yeah, I think I think this all ties together.
It is. There is a team of people there, so I think that's just very unfair that gets kind of lumped onto him.
Yeah.
Considering people do know who
Oh,
the
100%.
owner is. He's been in videos. I think I don't know if you've talked about it before. I know some people have. There's a video on their channel of them destroying like a fake Game Boy.
Yeah, I just
that
saw
had
that
the
recently.
IQ battery. Yeah, and that's the owner destroying it. So it's like that's a big. I don't know why that hasn't just been like deleted at this point, because I know people have come back to it and been like, that's a real Japanese Game Boy.
Yes.
What? Like what? Okay, now I am actually curious. Let's go check that out. If they haven't taken it down by now, then I will actually laugh my ass off. That cannot be right. Let's look at. All right, let's look far back. This is excluding the shorts, by the way. All right, we'll just go to search. Let's look at Game Boy. I'm trying to find the one from a while ago, like the fake Game Boy. Fake Game Boy EK oldies. All right, so I just have to look on the pit. I just have to look back in their history. That's all I gotta do now. I'll just go to old. I'll just go right. Scroll right down and just find it. No, nothing wrong with using find Game Boy. So 3 results so far in the titles, but I can show you we can find more. Don't get scammed with a fake Nintendo cartridge. When you're upcharging your when you're upcharging your games, this is coming from a Mario Party speedrunner. When you're upcharging your games that much, it's almost guaranteed you're just gonna want that people are just going to want to get the repro anyway. Especially if like Nintendo is no longer producing the cartridges or is not offering a way to be able to play those games, like through like Virtual Console or Switch Online. And even if they are, it's probably gonna be gone forever. Okay. Okay, the only one I see is how to change a scratched Game Boy screen right down here. That's one of the oldest. That's from like 7 years ago. But let's look up. Let's just okay. The rest of them are starting to be 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So it has to have been like more recent with the whole Game Boy thing. Like again, we're looking at 2 years ago of content on DKLD's page. 2 years. And they used to do retro live unboxings on their channel before they did this whole TikTok thing. Like, oh, how to set up your Nintendo Wii. Quote unquote. I don't know where the video is yet. I don't know. I don't know where the Game Boy video is. I just know Game Boy is used a bunch. I don't know if that has to do with old. Candy Boy, no. Again, I have no clue which one it could be. So yeah. I'll just stop looking at it for now. It's gotta be somewhere, but I don't want have the patience to look for the rest of it.
So that last segment, he's talking about an IQ Game Boy that the owner destroyed on camera. I don't know, it was years ago. Surprisingly, the video hasn't been deleted, at least last time I looked, but he thought it was a fake Game Boy and destroyed it on camera on their channel. For all you guys out there, I guess what you should learn from this is the fact that you may think Joey's making these decisions, but it appears that Joey is just he's doing what he's told. You know, he's the face of the company. Seems like a nice guy to me, but
Yeah, like I know like Rich and like everybody loves to poke fun at Joey, but considering the fact that he's literally just the social media manager, just like you shouldn't even just like poke like fun in it anymore. Like the owner really needs to be poked fun at because of how horrendous his operation is.
but he's just doing what he's told, and we'll leave it at that. And last but not least, let's go back to the refurbished topic and kind of just talk a little bit more about what the term refurbished means and if they should change that up.
I definitely think that using the word refurbished could kind of be tweaked, maybe. Instead of saying refurbished, like things are cleaned, things are well taken care of, but it's not like a full-on refurbishment unless something is wrong.
Thank you.
I do agree with what they've done in videos, but where they say that, you know, if it's something wrong, we check on it.
Yeah, so what he's saying here is that it seems like they should change their terms. Like instead of saying refurbished, maybe say it's just cleaned or well taken care of. They need to use some other term. Like honestly, the industry standard is just say used. So that's a big conversation now.
Yeah, that's it. Just say used. You don't even need to put the refurbished thing there. I'm sorry about the close up in the mic. Because like 90% of the time when I'm looking at eBay listings, a lot of the time it's always going to be, you know, there's gonna be no mention of, you know, this game this game console is refurbished or whatnot. It's unless the seller puts it deliberately in there and it actually is refurbished. 90% of the time it's not. So don't try to slap on a label and call a very, very dirty N64 refurbished.
Do they keep? I guess there's two ways it can go. They can call it refurbished and actually start refurbishing consoles, or they can change the terms to used or something else and just keep doing what they're doing. Because honestly, like what they're doing right now is what I do, but I sell used consoles on eBay. I don't sell them that much anymore. But when I was doing that a lot, like I would clean out the outside of the console to my best of my ability. I would blow out the insides. I would only open it up if it was like really dirty and you could tell it was really dirty, which is fine if you're selling a used console on like eBay and people know that you're getting a used console and you need to open it up yourself and change thermal paste and that sort of thing. But when you're selling a fully clean and refurbished, like they literally say in their comments that they open up and clean the consoles.
Yeah, and Jacob is proving my point. eBay, like most people on eBay know like that, like when you're wanting to buy a console from a seller, like you should already have the assumption that it's going to be used. It would be very rare to see a console actually be cleaned to the sparkle and cost a decent amount. Very rare. But you know, hey, this is 2023 after all, so things can happen.
You can't say that if you're only doing that for consoles that need to be repaired. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this interview. Make sure to watch the full one tomorrow and let me know down below what you think. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
So yeah, the video is up today. The full interview. Like I said, I'm not watching the full interview. Today because I wanted to get the abridged version out of the way so we can get started watching the panty and stocking video, which is next, everybody. Not playing it yet because we are going to be going to take Milo for a walk. So I will put us all on the baby screen. I'll go put some music on. Hopefully not too loud. I don't even know what I'm putting on at the moment. I don't know. Let's do. Let's just do Metroid Prime or something because I haven't been playing that recently, so might as well. All right. I'll be back in like 15 minutes or whatnot. Alrighty. Whew. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath. I have a, I think you're true with me. I'm not a face cam on, thankfully. But anyway, you're watching the video now. The panty stocking video from the new panty stocking video from Saberspark, whatever. Link is in description. I meant to say that for the DKO's video I just watched earlier. So it's in the description if you want to go check it out yourself. But anyways, let's just get into things and watch the video. See what his opinion on panty stocking is. Anyway, the title is called Panty stocking Could Never Be Made Today. I mean, someone please, someone tell him there's gonna be a second season.
Panty and stocking with garter belt. One of the most unique animes ever made. From its distinct designs and style to its dynamic animation. It is a visual tour de force, but it's the writing that gets me. An action comedy with such an edgy sense of humor that it makes me wonder if it's too offensive for modern audiences. That perhaps panty and stocking could not succeed in today's current media landscape. Hell, you got people on TikTok already protesting the reboot, calling it problematic. Huh, I wonder why.
I am single and looking for some mingling.
Fatty.
Suck my giant you fairy.
I would totally have his abortion.
It is so ridiculous, so overwhelming, so absolutely insane that if it was an online browser, it would be the literal opposite of this video sponsor, Opera GX.
Yep.
No, shut up, guys. Let me have this. That is the best segue I could come up with for an anime that includes a scene that is the sexual equivalent of D-Day from Saving Private Ryan. I'm not joking. That was in the show.
It's time, seaman! Get off!
I
remember this episode.
every day, all the time.
That episode, by the way, it was just so was more ridiculous. Like, the fact that it's literally the central plot of the episode is just stopping like this like army of dead seamen. Like, yeah, like it's so funny.
And I had no idea how much I was missing out on by not using Opera GX. As soon as I downloaded it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. First off, Opera GX has a ton of customizable options. Themes, wallpapers, colors. You can even upload your own photos or download animated wallpapers. Spirited Away, or My Precious Pup Lammy. Another cool feature I like is how my video player will pop out so I can keep like watching videos even though I'm scrubbing through Twitter. Okay, look at that. Got some panty and stocking art. I can also log into my Spotify through it and listen to my music through the browser, which is like super convenient. Now I can listen to my classy music without having to pop from window to window. And speaking of convenience, check out that GX Corner feature. It me! With this feature, y'all can actually see my newest uploads in that section, such as this video. Though the only way you can see my videos in the corner is if you use my dedicated link. So hit up the link in the description down below and download Opera GX for free today. It gives you complete control over your RAM, CPU usage, it kills CPU draining tabs, and it diverts resources to where you really need them. Trust me, you will be needing that extra power to get through the unapologetic and chaotic ride that is panty and stocking.
Are you on a diet?
Yes. Yes, this is literally the thumbnail. This is literally the thumbnail of the stream. Oh my god. I should you not. I was looking it up. Just right there. That's literally the thumbnail. Oh man. That is just so funny. We just got to that.
Me. Of course not. Why would you say that? I'm naturally petite and thin.
Oh, this episode. I swear I like for no apparent reason I watched this episode way too much because it's kind of like that cult the ultimatum of just like how ridiculous the show is.
I'm the reason tweens make themselves hurl. Uh-oh. Peekaboo. I saw it. There it is. There it is again. Hello. One more hit. Fatty, 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 fatty.
How this show came to be, why it's so controversial, and if it would be rejected nowadays by the modern online world. One that is much more sensitive and outspoken against cynical and edgy humor. Strap in, folks. We're in for a wild ride.
Take one and pass it back.
Hey, what are you girls doing? So, what are the origins of panty and stocking?
So context. So the content of the episode, I don't want to delve into full detail, but I know it involves I know it involves panty and stocking becoming high school students and stopping the class queen. That's all I can say. I'm not going to spoil the rest of it because it's just a ridiculous episode that I feel like everybody should watch.
Who unleashed this chaotic anime onto the world?
That be Studio Gainax. And from what I delved into when I was looking up like panty and stocking and whatnot, like I stumbled across the whole Gainax curse where various different like anime from the studio would never really get a proper follow-up. So like panty and stocking is literally one of those that was originally under the Gainax curse, but thanks to a certain convention that we've all known, we got news around that convention that Studio Trigger, the production studio that was founded by the director of the panty and stocking anime, actually acquired the rights to do more panty and stocking content. I'm not kidding. We're seeing more panty and stocking, like a new season. I just mentioned after coming back from the walk.
Well, that would be Studio Gainax, a legendary anime studio with a massive rosters of hits like Neon Genesis Evangelion, FLCL, and Gurren Lagann. It was actually right after Gurren Lagann where the team went on a trip to unwind. While completely drunk off their asses, they came up with nearly all the ideas for panty and stocking, wanting to really cut loose and try something completely different from their previous work, both in tone and aesthetic. Panty and stocking was unlike anything the studio had ever done before.
The fact that this anime by October will literally be 13 years is just such an understatement. Like, wow.
Or hey, the anime industry for that matter. While it had messed around with absurdist stories before, like an FLCL, panty and stocking would take this energy even further, and the results would be as fascinating as they were divisive. The show follows the misadventures of the Anarchy Sisters, Panty and Stocking, two angels who were kicked out of heaven due to their bad behavior, charged with earning their way back into heaven by doing good deeds and earning something called heaven coins. They battle supernatural forces in the fictional city of Dotton City.
That freaking that episode was just out of this world, just weird.
A play on the Japanese phrase meaning fallen angels. What follows is a 12-episode fever dream of insane, stylized animation, over-the-top action, and of course, crass humor that revels in sexual innuendo and potty humor. On top of that, the show parodies pop culture and mirrors almost every media trope you can point a finger at.
And that's why I love it, because it's just that pop culture, like the pop culture. Fuck, now I don't even know the word. Well, pop culture integration, I'll just say that. Since I can't figure out what the word I was looking for was. That integrated, some of the greatest pop culture hits and whatnot, and just like flipped it on its head.
Inglorious, irreverent self-awareness that can leave a person slack-jawed. The series was created as a departure from the more serious and dramatic works that Gainax was known for, and was intended to be a humorous and irreverent take on the action genre. Despite its polarizing reception, Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt has had a lasting impact on the anime industry, and remains a unique and memorable entry in Gainax's extensive catalog of work. The series was directed by Hiroyuki Imashi, who brought his signature style to the show, blending traditional anime techniques with elements of Western animation. The series pulls from a lot of different influences, from anime, of course, to Western animation, to other Japanese properties like tokusatsu, with a Monster of the Week format with each ghost villain, and specifically the...
Oh, that's another friend. That's another clip right there from the B episode I was mentioning.
Endings with the physical props of the monsters exploding at a flat angle when defeated. It is very much so in the vein of classic Showa-era toku shows.
And I love the stop. I love the the explosions at the end of the episodes.
Like Ultraman, Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider. Now, one of the most notable differences in the animation style of Panty and Stocking was its use of exaggerated expressions and physical comedy, reminiscent of cartoons like the Powerpuff Girls.
Yep.
The show also made use of fast-paced action sequences and creative camera angles, giving it a frenetic energy and its insanely over-the-top set-piece scenes, something that was a bit of a studio signature for Gainax by this point. Combined with the bold blends of East and Western stylization, made this show a visual spectacle unlike anything seen in traditional anime or American animation for that matter, blending the strongest aspects of both into something fresh and unique. Now, this part caught me off guard. Hiromi Wakabayashi, who provided the initial idea for the series, said that Drawn Together was an inspiration for the show's crudeness. Quote, "A few years ago, I, along with other Gainax staffers, at an American convention, were watching the American TV animation Drawn Together, and we couldn't believe that they were showing such explicit things on TV. I thought, why don't we do that?" End quote. Hiromi also cited Powerpuff Girls and his love for American shows like Glee and Gossip Girl, which, you know, kind of makes sense. The aesthetic of Panty and Stocking is a far cry from where anime generally plays, especially the trends of its fellow shows in 2010. The much more stylized proportions, the large heads, geometric streamlined anatomy, and thick graphic outlines on the characters are lifted straight from early 2000s Cartoon Network shows like Powerpuff Girls and Dexter's Lab. And Panty and Stocking themselves are also very much so parodies of American women stereotypes in the media, which is likely where the Gossip Girl influence comes from. Also, Hiromi is apparently a huge fan of American comics and other American cartoons like Transformers. As a matter of fact, he was the one who wrote the script for the Transformers parody episode. You know, where Panty as a robot bangs another robot in a porta potty. The show debuted in October of 2010
I love the
with
Transformers
mixed reviews
episode.
from Japanese critics. Some of them found the humor of the show to be tasteless and that it had essentially no plot and was all style instead of substance. Others reveled in the series' debauchery, praising its high-energy animation and blend of action, comedy, and crass humor, which was seen as something fresh and entertaining.
Oh, 100%. I love it. Fuck, I literally skipped ahead.
Comedy, and crass humor, which was seen as something fresh and entertaining. The soundtrack, produced by Taku Takahashi, was also well received.
And you can still find that, by the way, on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it's available on Apple Music. I just definitely know it was on Spotify. And there goes Milo. It's probably more neighbors walking their dogs, considering I just took Milo for a walk and saw one. I have no clue. It was definitely, it had to have been somebody, like walking the dog. Or whatnot.
and added to the overall enjoyment of the series. It blended elements of hip-hop, electronic, and rock music to create a unique and memorable musical score. In 2011, Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt was part of the jury selections of the 15th Japan Media Arts Festival in the animation category. So yeah, it was getting some accolades. But in contrast, you have the US, where the reception of the show was mixed to say the least. There were some viewers who appreciated its irreverent humor and distinctive animation style, while there were others who were put off by its crass and absurdist approach. Some Western audiences found the humor to be too juvenile or offensive, while others praised the show for its bold and unapologetic approach. Sites like Polygon praised the show, awarding it as one of the best anime of the 2010s, while other publications, such as Anime News Network, found the show to be unremittingly revolting and generally not funny, and accused the series of having a style over substance approach and generally flawed, tasteless, and needlessly disturbing comedy. Jeez, rough crowd. Despite this mixed reception, Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt resonated well with audiences though, and the series has gained a dedicated cult following in the US, and has been recognized for its place as a unique and memorable entry in the world of anime. The transformation scene and the music with it, Fly Away, has since achieved meme status.
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, I've seen that TF2 meme. It's literally using the music.
And was used in a bunch of parodies online. Fly away! I can't sing it. The cult
Fly away now.
Following for Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt in the US grew over time through a combination of word-of-mouth recommendations and the increasing accessibility of anime through streaming platforms. As more people were exposed to the series and its distinctive blend of humor and animation, a small but dedicated group of fans began to emerge. These fans appreciated the show's off-the-wall humor and irreverent take on the action genre, and sought out others who shared their enthusiasm. The growth of the series following was also fueled by its popularity among the otaku community, who appreciated its nod to Japanese pop culture and
not a toy. Sorry, boy. Sorry, Milo was trying to chew. Yeah, switch case.
and references to other anime and manga. Online forums, fan communities, and social media allowed fans to connect and share their love for the series, helping to grow its following even further. Oh, by the way, some of y'all might notice this dog named Chuck who bears a striking resemblance to another green animated dog.
And that's why I loved it. Like, I see a bit of the Zim influence.
Yeah, that one. Jordan Vasquez himself even commented on the similarities between Gur and Chuck on his Tumblr, playing off the similarities as a joke. He implied he felt the more crude portrayal of Chuck did not really mesh with the personality he had given to Gur, but still praised Gainax overall as one of the few anime studios he could personally stomach. Geez, wow, I guess he doesn't care for anime. From angels and demons stripping their clothes off, to the same demons and angels shooting each other right afterwards. Among all the craziness, there was a plot that was slowly advancing throughout the show.
Yeah.
Which is Panty and Stocking trying to get those heaven coins and go back to heaven. Did they ever achieve their goal at the end? Well, let's just say that this show has one of the most bizarre endings ever conceived in an anime.
Which is why I'm talking about the Gainax curse.
What happened, you ask? Well, it ended on a massive cliffhanger. Spoiler alert, it revealed Stocking was a ghost herself, who murders Panty. And then the show just abruptly ends. Boom.
I'm sorry, but surprise, I'm actually a demon.
Now, many assume that because of this cliffhanger, there would be a second season. But yeah, there never was. And it seems that it was more like Gainax wanting to end the show on a note just as mad as the rest of the series, throwing the entire audience for a massive loop, then closing out before you had any time to even process the twist.
Yeah, this is what we refer to as the Gainax curse.
It was almost as abrupt as the ending of Drawn Together.
Drawn together have been canceled.
A sequel series seemed unlikely, as Hiroyuki, the director of Panty and Stocking, left Gainax and went on to co-found Studio Trigger in 2011. Bringing the same kind of energy that defined Gainax projects, Trigger is essentially viewed by the public as the successor of Gainax, and have gone on to produce a number of critically acclaimed and popular anime series. Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, Promare, and most recently, the hugely successful Cyberpunk Edgerunners on Netflix. However, with Panty and Stocking still being owned by what remains of Gainax, which had at this point remained largely inactive ever since the founding of Trigger, it seemed that a follow-up to Panty and Stocking wouldn't happen. And even if it did, the director behind the series wouldn't even be involved. Now, there was a small blip of hope for a sequel in 2016, when a Twitter post from Gainax West vaguely hinted at a Panty and Stocking announcement. Speculation immediately abounded, pondering if this was the first hint at a second season. Hope intensified further when additional posts confirmed that the announcement wouldn't be a pachinko machine, or a social network game, or an additional Blu-ray release of the first season, and instead said, quote, "We're offering something new for fans of the series." So, what was it? The teaser ended up being a Panty and Stocking themed cafe.
Yeah, that was pretty disappointing.
Bastards. I want to go, but bastards nonetheless, right? Why do they toy with our hearts? Since Gainax has essentially dissolved, and most of the studio went on to form Studio Trigger, the likelihood of a follow-up to Panty and Stocking is almost certainly never going to happen. That ending cliffhanger seemed very much so intentional.
Hold it!
Hold it!
Oh my god.
I was waiting for the hold it because we just got we just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Oh, it's Studio Trigger. They actually wanted to buy the rights for it.
No way. Wow, okay. So in 2020, Studio Trigger was able to secure the rights to both Panty and Stocking as well as Gurren Lagann from what remained of Gainax, bringing the rights back into the hands of the original creative team that helmed the projects. During a panel at Anime Expo 2022, Trigger revealed that they were working on the elusive, seemingly never going to happen second season of Panty and Stocking, after a 10-year hiatus. As of right now, a specific release date is still unknown, but it's rumored that it's going to be 2023. Also, there's obviously a lot of questions about the nature of the series, especially so long after the initial series ended. Trigger clearly has the animation chops to make something like Panty and Stocking again. Recent projects like Brand New Animal and Edgerunners prove that. Not that there was ever any doubt at all to begin with. And considering the creative director of the series is the current co-owner of Trigger, the heart of the series will most likely survive the 10-year hibernation. Though here comes the real question, and the one that actually concerns me, is if a show like Panty and Stocking can survive in 2023.
That is a very tough question, it's deep down that half of me says it's probably not gonna, half of me believes that it shouldn't happen, but at the same time, I love watching the series. I wish there was more to that, and considering the fact that Studio Trigger relieved all of our fears that there would be no more. At least for now. But the fact that for now that they've relieved most of our fears that there would never be any more Panty and Stocking seasons, it's got me really excited.
Panty and Stocking, like I already mentioned before, is not very safe when it comes to its content. It has very little interest when it comes to catering its sense of humor to political correctness. Even back in 2010, the series had no issue making fun of the Catholic Church, showing the priest Garterbelt as a sexual deviant, and implying that he had sexually abused briefs off screen, multiple times over, which is used as the butt of joke after joke after joke, and nothing more. The show also had an entire episode based around Panty and Stocking shaming each other for eating too much and getting fat, and going through multiple extreme diet techniques as well, as also lamenting being overweight in general. And that's just the tip of this iceberg in terms of lines the show would cross, that were even considered a bit too much even back in 2010. But in 2023? Oh, this year is an entirely different beast. There are people online nowadays who are much more sensitive to this kind of content and have no issue putting so-called problematic content on blast and pushing it for cancellation.
Of course. But here's the one thing that makes it different. I know there are series like Velma that delve into like dark shit and whatnot, but like they try to be like so edgy, but a lot of them fall flat. Especially Velma from what I've heard. But with Payne Stockton, I don't think that could be the case. You know, the groundwork of like what could theoretically happen in the second season is already laid. You know, we had that absolutely horrendous cliffhanger at the end of the first season, so you know, it's all a matter of building it all back up.
And disparaging anyone who is not as equally outraged as them. Following the announcement of season 2 of Panty and Stocking, TikTok exploded with content ripping on the show in general, calling out its offensive issues, and even calling its simplified style, combined with these sexual acts of the characters as bait for P words. I can't say it, YouTube would kill me. That the characters look too much like children and were stand-in for kids, which, like, the thought of that is just absurd. It is ridiculous.
Yep.
That is
like I have to when they're talking about like the absurdity, like when Saber's talking about it, like how absurd this is, I'm willing to bet that they're thinking of that one episode I'm talking about with the Queen Bee, and just all the other episodes that they just happened to be in high school. They weren't necessarily teenagers, whatnot. Gardabout wanted them to blend in with the students at Dodden City High School. Hold on, I had to really say it again. Sure, they had to blend in, but nowhere in the anime is it really explicitly mentioned in my, like, off the top of my head. Nowhere in the anime is explicitly mentioned that they are actually teen. I mean, literally in that episode that Saber was bringing up earlier about, you know, fat shaming and whatnot, late in the episode, Panty is literally drinking a beer bottle. So, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
absolutely not what the show was trying to do. But this is the climate that a new season of this show is stepping into.
Yep.
And it's worth acknowledging as a potential issue for the show. Like, I can only imagine that any of us that are terminally online are going to be hearing a lot about this show one way or another when
True.
the new season finally drops.
True. I'm one at the point. I do hope the team can like kind of look at these issues, you know, in making the new season and like try to like integrate like episodes. I'm not saying like it should be done, but like I could potentially see episodes where it covers cancel culture and it specifically pokes fun at the whole cancel culture concept and whatnot. Saying like, yeah, people should be canceled for this thing, but for making a baseless accusation over this, like no, that is like completely like asinine of you to say that.
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Place my donut, eat my donut. I've got a donut for you.
I watched like a bit of the sub version, and for some reason I just feel like the dub version just sticks well for me. I could be completely wrong. I know I watched it first dubbed, but I probably will watch the rest of it sub at some point. I've already completed the series, but I didn't watch the whole series subbed. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans subbed versus dubbed.
In conclusion, Panty and Stocking is one of the most unique animated shows ever made, and is a great example of combining Western animation influence into anime, which isn't very common. Usually
True.
it's the other way around. But Panty and Stocking was different. From its distinct character designs to its smooth and dynamic animation.
I guess you can put like, for me, I guess I could kind of consider this like the EAO of like anime. Like when I say that, I mean like everything, everywhere, all at once. Like telling unique, like telling, you know, being all unique, you know, covering all these things, but while also still carrying like a, you know, a very, you know, realistic story at heart for these angels.
To its irreverent writing, Panty and Stocking has firmly cemented itself as a standout in the world of anime. Yes, I admit, it is not perfect, and quite a few of the jokes are dated or just never hit to begin with. But most of the flaws of the show that are just like, hey, I don't dig potty humor, but I'll let it pass, or, that's kind of hypersexualized and irreverent, whatever, I'll let it slide, or it's kind of funny here and there. Those kinds of flaws, to me, make it stand out that much more.
Absolutely.
Because they were trying to do something different. With season 2 slated for 2020.
And honestly, I feel like it kind of helps the show in bits and pieces. Not fully, but in bits and pieces.
3 release, I guess we'll have to wait and see if something as shocking and sardonic as Panty and Stocking could still succeed in this current media landscape.
I mean, hell, if Kill la Kill can exist 3 years afterward, even though technically the modern landscape hasn't really, you know, evolved until 2016, where, you know, you really started seeing everyone, you know, stating their feelings online and whatnot.
Things have changed so much since 2012. Though it can also be argued that people getting upset over Panty and Stocking is nothing new, since they've been upset before, even back in the day when it first was released. But nowadays, it could get ugly. Though also, this could completely like backfire on the detractors because, hey, controversy sells. It might make the show that much more popular.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen that with Hogwarts Legacy. Like I stated in like my reactions with the whole debate with the Hogwarts, you know, like you can like one, if you want to buy Hogwarts, you can just buy and still say fuck JKR for all I care, honestly. Like, and I've stated before, I didn't buy Hogwarts because I hate JK Rowling's guts. Like, let me be real, I really do hate JKR's guts, especially after the transphobic comments made in the past. I only didn't buy it because I'm not into the Wizarding World. That's where I stop. That's where I draw the line. I don't care about the Wizarding World. Therefore, I'm not putting my interest into it. And it's a fair statement. But bashing people for wanting to play something, but also, you know, still hating the person responsible for creating said like franchise or whatnot is commendable. And just because you're playing the game does not automatically make you a transphobe. Just saying.
I mean, hey, look at that Harry Potter game that came out. I never
We're literally talking about the same thing, Saber. Yeah, let's go.
Heard of it, but then I saw reports saying like it's one of the best-selling games or most streamed games on Twitch. So yeah. Controversy sells, I guess. Also, it's worth noting that this is an anime. And anime itself tends to operate by a different set of rules compared to Western animation and its sensibilities.
Yep.
But for me, my biggest fear of all is seeing the creators of Panty and Stocking compromise their vision and buckle under the pressure in order to play it safe.
Yeah, that definitely is a really big worry for me. Like if they play it too damn safe and don't offer enough raunchy humor that the first season offered, then I might not be able to watch. Then I might not watch the rest of the season. Like, it might be fine for a couple episodes, but like otherwise, it could be it.
To see it neutered of its cynical origins in order to avoid any kind of problematic backlash. Nah, screw that. I don't like that at all. Stick to your guns. There are some things you can be nuanced on, some bad jokes you can leave behind, but if you like completely strip the show of any of its cynicism, of its sense of humor, if that happens, then it's not the same show anymore. Like, there are some unsavory jokes that were never funny to me to begin with, that those jokes can fall to the wayside. The boy being abused? Not funny. I never thought that was funny to me. The sexual nature of the priest? Lol, Catholic priest, right? That's the joke. Not funny to me. But if the entire show decides to become kind, safe, sensitive, then why come back at all? There's definitely, again, a nuance to this dance, but I think it can be done.
It can be done indeed. Like, there are so few anime out there that I absolutely adore, with this just absurdness that not many can actually pull off. Considering the fact that, like, my favorite anime comes from a studio that literally comes from the studio that was founded by the director of Panty and Stocking, is awesome. I love Kill la Kill. It's not for everybody, but I absolutely adore it. I can safely say I do love Panty and Stocking a fair extent. Some jokes, they, just like Sabers mentioned, some jokes, they don't land, but I do love the show. I do. As much as, like, the absolutely weird episodes that come and go, like with the with the monkey judge, I don't like remember the plot at all, but I do remember there not a lot of monkey judge, monkey prosecutor or attorney and whatnot. I remember that episode, and I was like, okay, we're in some interesting territories here and there. I don't want to go full detail because spoiler whatnot, but yeah, good watch. That's all I can say.
Hell of a boss does it. They walk that tightrope, and I bet you Panty and Stocking can as well. So yes, I recommend Panty and Stocking. The writing, the jokes, the characters are not perfect, but it is definitely a unique spectacle that oozes unapologetic style and passion. Hopefully, Season 2 can improve on the original series and rock the boat in a good way with this current media landscape. One that is much more sensitive and difficult to traverse. But folks, could you imagine this show coming back today? What if it was released now? Yeah, the show that inspired Panty and Stocking. The show that was so offensive, so shocking, that mid-2000s Comedy Central canceled it. Drawn Together is literally the antithesis of the modern online world in almost every single way.
I believe it.
I guess I'll review it.
Okay, I'll definitely watch that. Whenever Saber puts that up, I will absolutely watch it. Sign me the fuck up. All right. Yeah, that was the video, of course. So yeah, Panty and Stocking is a decent anime. I will say that again. It's a decent anime. Not perfect, but very cool, to say the least. And if you really don't give a fuck about, how far you can go with getting raunch with ecchi and like certain tropes and whatnot, by all means, go ahead, take the leap of faith and watch it. If you're not a fan service person, then I might have to say just skip this, but I'd still recommend you to watch it anyway. All right. That being said, I am it's almost like, well, I mean, it's not time yet, but it's getting closer and closer for me to go eat. So I'm probably just gonna end it right here on the YouTube. And yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. I said wasn't planning to make this super long, but I am very happy that I did as much as I could here. With putting 2 videos on, at least starting off the DK oldies to video to start things on a interesting note, and then go right into the raunchy anime that I like. Not like love in terms of like my favorite like anime, but like I enjoy it. All right. Yeah, see you. I'll probably see you all on Twitch probably tomorrow. Anyway,